All right, lesson 6.4, point slope form. If you know that a line passes through the point 5, 7 with a slope of negative 4/3, you can write an equation using the x and the y coordinate as well as the slope. So you see I have the equation y minus 7 equals negative 4/3 x, negative 4/3 times the quantity x minus 5. So the definition of a point slope form of a linear equation is an equation of a non-vertical line that passes through the point x1 and y1 with slope m. So the parent equation, or the equation that we model, is y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. These are coordinates. This is the y coordinate, and this is the x coordinate. And this is my slope. Okay? All right. I just want you to think about this. If you see the equation y plus 4 equals, let me write that again, y plus 4 equals 1/2 times the quantity x minus 1. What is my y coordinate? I can see that my x coordinate is 1, but what is my y coordinate? Hopefully you're thinking, that must be negative 4, and it is. You're right. Good job. I'm going to show you why. If the apparent equation is y minus the y coordinate, the only way to make that positive is to have the y coordinate be negative, because then when I choom, I have y plus 4. Okay? So I just wanted you to think about that. So when you see the parent equation, or when you see that equation and you see a plus sign, know that your coordinates are probably going to be negative. Okay. The second thing that we're going to do is actually graph this. You can see that I already have it graphed. I'm just going to kind of walk you through it. But it used to be that when we had an equation, in order to graph it, we had to put it in standard form or slope-intercept form. We needed to use the intercepts or find the slope and the y-intercept. However, now, since I know that this is slope, I can use that to my advantage. Slope is negative 1/3. And then I know that my x coordinate is going to be negative 2, and my y coordinate is 5. So I can just graph that ordered pair. That's the ordered pair, negative 2, 5. So that's what I've done here, negative 2, 5. And then I went ahead and counted my slope. Okay? All right. This next example says to write an equation using a table. Write an equation using a table. That sounds really hard. Kind of confusing. However, you need to remember what this table represents. This table represents ordered pairs. And you know how to figure out slope from an ordered pair. You also know how to take an ordered pair and slope and substitute into an equation and solve for b. And you also have the point slope form that you can use. So we're going to do this 3 different ways. I need you to be patient, okay? The first thing that we're going to do is calculate slope. That's the first thing that we're going to do. I'm going to find m. All right, so I'm just going to use 2 ordered pairs. It doesn't matter which 2 I choose. I'm going to do 7 minus 6 over 1 minus 0. And that becomes 1 over 1. So I know that my slope is now 1. I have a slope of 1. Okay? The next thing that I need to do is decide if I want to solve for b, if I want to write it in point slope form, what's the deal? So I'm going to use point slope form first because it's by far the easiest method, and it's the one that we just learned. So y minus, and I'm going to go ahead and use this ordered pair right here, the 3 and the 9, for point slope form. Y minus 9 equals my slope, which is 1, times the quantity x minus 3. So that's the equation in point slope form. I'm also going to go ahead and solve for b. We had a quiz on that yesterday, and some of you struggled with it. So let's see. If I know that I have a slope of 1, I can pick any ordered pair and solve for b. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this ordered pair and my slope of 1. I'm going to write 4 equals 1 times the quantity negative 2 plus b. So I'm going to try to solve for b. 4 equals -2 plus b. And when I subtract, or when I add 2 to both sides, I find out that 6 equals b. So that is the equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals x plus 6. So I could also have plugged in and found that equation. However, I want to show you one thing. You know from previous lessons, or you should know, that the y-intercept happens when x equals 0. The y-intercept happens when x equals 0. So really, I didn't have to do any work. I didn't have to plug in and solve for b. I could have looked right here at this ordered pair and said, wow, this is my intercept, and found slope and wrote the equation. The last thing I want to do is I want to check this. Is this equation right here the same thing as that? Are they the same? I don't know. I have a couple of doubters in the crowd, so I'm going to prove to you that they are. So the first thing I need to do is distribute. Now I know multiplying by 1 doesn't change that at all. So I have y minus 9 equals x minus 3. I'm going to add a positive 9 to both sides. So y equals x plus 6. They are, in fact, the same. So I have 3 or 4 different methods I can use, 3 or 4 different ways to write an equation. Next example, I'm asked to write an equation using 2 points. Now remember, I need to find slope first, and then I can either use the x and the y ordered pair, or I can find slope, and then I can solve for what? Find b. Okay? So let's go ahead and use point slope form here. In the example below, we'll use y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I'm going to put this in point slope form. So in order to find slope, I have -9 plus 3 over 8 minus 4. -9 plus 3 is -6 over 4, which reduces to -3/2. There is my slope. And because of the point slope form, I can choose either point. So I'm going to use the 4, -3 as my ordered pair. Y plus 3 equals my slope, -3/2 times the quantity x minus 4. That is my equation. My second example, look at that, I didn't even erase it from the last. You'll see that I chose to write this one in the form y equals mx plus b. And the reason I did that is because I already know what b is. When x equals 0, that is where the y-intercept takes place. So here all I have to do is figure out what my slope is, and then I can generate my equation. All right, what about writing an equation in point slope form? So here all we're doing is we're taking the ordered pair and the slope and writing the equation. So y minus 4 equals -2/3 times the quantity x minus a negative, which is x plus 3. On this side, this example, I have y minus a -2, so y plus 2 equals -4 times the quantity x minus 5. All right? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is point slope form in a nutshell.